You can do this test in the comfort of your own home. You got the PiCAT and you got the Asvab. If you're thinking about joining the Air Force, you're gonna have to take a test to qualify. Every military branch requires you to take this test. This isn't just an Air Force specific thing. Now, some of you may be really good at taking tests and others maybe not so much. So I wanna make sure that you understand the options you have to take this test. So you could do the traditional way of taking this test through the Asvab. You could take this Asvab with a recruiter, or if you're still in high school, you could take this Asvab at your school if they offer the test. The Asvab is gonna have 8 different categories for you to test on. The only 4 that really affect your overall score are gonna be arithmetic reasoning, word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, and math knowledge. They give you 3 hours to take this test. And this test is strictly timed. It's also going to be supervised by whoever's proctoring the test. Upon completion of this test, you're going to receive a score, and this score is going to determine what kind of jobs you can do in the military. So I know most of you who are watching my videos, you probably already know that. But there's another version of this test that you can take called the PiCAT. And this test offers you a lot of perks that the Asvab can't. Number 1, this test is the most comprehensive practice test out there. So if you haven't done anything as far as preparing for the Asvab and you want to see where you're at, you can reach out to a recruiter and say,
I want to take the PiCAT.
So here's one of the best parts of all. Number 2, let's say you do really good on this practice test. So good that you want to use those scores. There is a way that you can use the scores that you scored on the PiCAT. We'll talk about that later. Number 3 perk about this test. You can do this test in the comfort of your own home, meaning you don't have someone standing over your shoulders watching you. And the number 4 perk about this test is that it's not timed. So you don't have to meet those strict timelines that you have to do with the Asvab. And the number 5 perk about this test is that most people who take the PiCAT score anywhere from 10 to 20 points higher on the PiCAT than they did if they would have taken the Asvab. Now there are some downsides about the PiCAT. So I said earlier that you can use this test as your official Asvab test. But the only way they're gonna allow you to do this is by you taking a verification test when you get to MEPS. This verification test is basically gonna gather some questions that you got right on the PiCAT, and they're gonna see if you can get them right again. If you start missing the answers that you got right on the PiCAT, on the verification test, they're gonna automatically enroll you into the full Asvab. And at that point, whatever score you score on the real Asvab, that score sticks. But let's say the verification test goes well, they will allow you to keep whatever score you scored on the PiCAT as your official score. So if you thought because you're at home that you can cheat, you can use the internet, or you can use a calculator, when it comes time to take that verification test, the truth will come to light. Another downside to the PiCAT is that you only get one time to take this within a 2-year period. So it's not like you can take multiple versions of this. The PiCAT, hands down to me, is the better way of taking the Asvab. Now before y'all go reaching out to your recruiter, if you haven't studied or if you don't know where you're at, I got a website that you can go to called Studycom, and they have free practice tests on there. It can kind of give you a gauge of where you're at. If you take that practice test and you realize you don't get the score that you want, and the desired score for the Air Force is 50 or higher, and the Space Force Asvab scores are even higher. So if you're not meeting those scores, you may want to study. Luckily, Studycom is a great way for you to study. They have video lessons you can follow along with. They have a ton of practice questions and exams. They're very flexible as well. You can study at your own pace and on your schedule. And they have mobile accessibility, so you can use your cell phone to do a lot of the studying. You don't need a desktop. I've had a lot of people use Studycom and they got the scores they wanted, or they boosted their previous scores so they can pass the exam. Studycom is affordable. They normally charge $60 a month, but with my link down in the description box below, you can get it at a discount for $41.99 a month. The best part about it is, once you finish studying, you can cancel your subscription and you no longer need Study.com because you rocked out the Asvab. So if you want to take that practice test, head over to Study.com right now for free. And if you want to know some tips and tricks to pass in the Asvab, I got a video on the screen right now that explains everything about the Asvab that you need to know to crush it. Like I always say, I hope this video brought value to you. Stay beautiful, stay classy. Until next time, check me out.